It's When Fists Fly with Big Nige, and welcome to our latest edition of Boxing Weekly Roundup. I don't know about you guys, but it's been a hell of a week for me in terms of boxing news. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury have officially began talks and agreed financial terms to a 2-fight deal which will take place in 2021. Yes, you heard it here. Finally, the first step to a long marathon of negotiation deals is finally in place. Tyson Fury announced on his Instagram a video basically giving us a little brief detail saying that's a 2-fight deal which will take place in 2021. He gave a big shout out to MTK Global for the negotiations. Also Dan Kinahan being instrumental in terms of being the middleman between Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. So guys, it looks like it might just happen. It's not going to be a Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe situation. Fingers crossed that we do get to the finish line and they do sign the papers and everything will fall into place. My big question to you all is, who's going to win this fight if it does happen? Fingers crossed. There's a lot of things that take place before we see those two in the ring. Obviously, there's the trilogy fight with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and obviously Anthony Joshua has to deal with a mandatory of Kubrat Pulev. Apparently, it's a 50-50 split deal for the first fight, and 60-40 for the second fight, obviously in favour of the winner of the first fight. But what I found interesting was I was listening to Bob Arum, shout out to Top Rank, the OG, and he said, why is everyone getting excited over breaking news when this deal took place about a month ago? We're only just revealing it now, but everyone's getting excited, but people forgetting Tyson Fury needs to fight Wilder again, and Anthony Joshua needs to fight Pulev, who he again announced that he believes Pulev will knock out Anthony Joshua. So he's not too excited because obviously he's still in favour of his man Pulev knocking out AJ. Bob Arum, massive respect to you, but AJ beats your guy. It's not even hard. You know the ones there. Everyone keeps saying about how that the hardest part of the negotiation was to agree to financial terms. I don't personally agree with that. My honest opinion is the battle of the broadcasters. Obviously, we've got the powerhouses of Sky Sports and the powerhouses of BT Sport. Who's going to get it? And then obviously you've got the American side where you've got DAZN and ESPN. I don't believe Bob Arum is going to let DAZN come and have the rights for it in America, and I don't believe Frank Warren is going to allow Eddie Hearn for Sky Sports to have the rights. So that, in my opinion, is the toughest part of this whole deal, because whoever gets the rights is obviously going to get the dollar, or the pounds I should say. Let me know your thoughts. The last time we saw two powerhouses of broadcasters come together was Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather with HBO and Showtime. And even before that was Tyson, Lennox Lewis. Could we possibly see the same thing for such a magnitude of a fight? Who knows? My only question in this whole palaver, I should say, is where does it leave Dillian Whyte? I'm a big fan of Dillian Whyte, obviously South Londoner. He has been in the mandatory position for over 1,000 days. And they said that he will be scheduled to fight whoever the WBC champion is at the time, whether it be, obviously now being Tyson Fury, but obviously it may change, who knows. February 2021, he will fight the winner. And now it seems like there's been another curveball with this whole AJ situation coming into play. So it's like, what does my man have to do to get his title shot? My only issue is for Dillian Whyte is, you've been waiting for so long, and I pray it doesn't happen, but you get your shot and it doesn't come to fruition. That's my only issue, because he's been waiting for so long. In those over 1,000 days, he could have had 2 to 3 title shots. Let's be realistic. Because back in the day, when there was more than two champions, everyone had one belt each. Title shots were coming out like it was nothing. Obviously now in this era, it's a bit difficult because AJ holds 3 of the 4 and Tyson Fury holds obviously the WBC. So it's a bit tougher. So I hope that Eddie Hearn manages to negotiate some sort of deal where Dillian Whyte is implemented in this deal where he has to fight. Whether that be Fury, whether that be Joshua. Because I can't even lie, if he doesn't get the fight, it just makes it, what's the point of being a mandatory? It just kind of throws out the whole purpose of mandatory positions. Am I right? His brother Dean White spoke to IFL this week also, and he thinks that Eddie Hearn has kind of like sold Dillian Whyte short. And I kind of get where he's coming from, because it's like, you represent both parties, we both know that. But it's like, you say you want Dillian Whyte to get the shot, you say you want Dillian Whyte to get the shot, but the minute a negotiation deal with AJ comes into play, it's like, okay, boom, I'm going with AJ. So it's like, you know, it's a bit snaky. You know, no one's there. But who knows? Knowing Eddie Hearn, the gift of the gab, he'll be able to pull something out of the bag. Another thing I found interesting with this whole AJ Fury, Dillian Whyte situation is Mauricio Suleiman, the WBC president, was interviewed by Umar Ahmed of IFL TV. And he clearly stated that, as far as I'm aware, Dillian Whyte is still mandated to fight the WBC champion, which is obviously Tyson Fury, in February 2021. His reason for saying that is basically, all these negotiations is good, but he hasn't been contacted by none of the promoters, and he's not been aware of what's been going on. So as far as he's concerned, Dillian Whyte is still mandated to fight Tyson Fury come next year. Which is interesting, because surely, before you sort out financial terms, surely you have to let the governing bodies know, the likes of WBO, IBF, WBC, WBA, all know that a undisputed unification fight is going to take place. And obviously you need their permission before you can even start talking about financial terms. Don't get me wrong, I'm just the boxing critique analyst. I don't get involved with all that passa, but let me know your thoughts on that one as well. Son of God, Andre Ward, has branded Carl Froch as an overachiever.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna have to take a pause on that, because it's a bit of a cocky statement, in all honesty. A bit cheeky as well. I don't necessarily agree, but these were his exact words. He was speaking to Toe to Toe. The thing about Carl Froch, and I've always respected about him, is his competitiveness. Because he's not really athletic. He's an overachiever. You look at him and just the way he fights, there's nothing that jumps out at you and says, wow, that's a great fighter. But his work ethic, his attention to detail, I know he used to keep binders full of his every workout that he did. He was very tedious about his preparation. He was tough. He could take a shot. So he had other qualities that were intangible, that he couldn't really see. I think he's an overachiever, but I think he got hit too much. That last line, I agree, he got hit far too much. But one thing you can never ever doubt about Carl Froch's fights, they were hell of exciting fights. He was always in wars. He was a brawler. Nothing compared to, the technician, the chess player, the smart, tactical boxer of Andre Ward. But for him to say he was an overachiever, he won 4 world titles. You can't really overachieve with 4 world titles. Maybe the one. But hey, who knows? Also, I think you've got to give Carl Froch his pedigree, because he won ABAs. He was also in Team GB. And obviously transitioned into the pro ranks and done what he had to do. So for him to say he was a bit of an overachiever, as much as I love Andre Ward, great fighter, I think he's done it to get a reaction out of Carl Froch, in my opinion. But knowing the Carl Froch that we all know, he has to respond. And these were his exact words on Toe to Toe. Absolutely spot on, to be honest. That was really good. Overachiever? Maybe. I was going to turn professional. I was never going to turn professional. I turned professional and won 4 world titles. and if you count the WBA regular belt. Many big fights are close. World champions who defend their world titles is never always one-sided. Surprisingly, Carl Froch never bit back. If you know, obviously you know Carl Froch loves a little dig back at Andre Ward. He's been doing it since they fought many years back. So for him to agree and take it on the chin and move on, are we seeing a new Carl Froch? Are we seeing growth? Let me know your thoughts. But I'm surprised he actually agreed with him. Maybe he didn't really rate himself in terms of skill set, but in terms of heart and toughness, and he did have a solid chin. He made up in that aspect. Maybe that was why he was so, what's the word? He kept he was very detailed in terms of his training. Those little things he can make up in those areas in terms of the skill set side. Who knows? Carl Froch has listed his top 5 super middleweights of all time on the toe-to-toe show. Going backwards to number 1. In 5th place he named Mikhail Kessler. 4th place he gave it to Joe Calzaghe, which some may say is a bit questionable. 3rd place himself, Carl Froch. 2nd place he gave to Andre Ward, and top spot was Roy Jones Jr., which is no surprise really. It wouldn't be Carl Froch if he didn't take a jab at Calzaghe, but after listing that top 5, he gave a jab at Joe Calzaghe, basically saying his reign of 10 years of dominance basically was mediocre. His wins against Jeff Lacey was a hype job, which is funny because before that fight, he was the mini Mike Tyson of the super middleweight division. But hey, and also he said his victory over Chris Eubank Sr., Eubank was over the hill, but it's easy to say that. But again, before he fought Chris Eubank, we're talking about a 2-time world champion who held his title for a very, very long time. Where do I start? It's clear he has a issue with Joe Calzaghe, and I think he's letting his emotions come to the forefront and actually pushing away the achievements of what Joe Calzaghe actually achieved. He was a very, very skilled fighter. Let's not forget he remained undefeated. He was undefeated for his whole career, and his resume, I mean, I don't even need to list the names. You can go check on BoxRec for yourself. He fought the big boy names at the right, maybe not at the right time, but he fought the big boy names and he got a victory. Another thing I've got to add is, halfway through Joe Calzaghe's career, everyone knew he had issues with his hands. So halfway through his boxing career, he had to change his style because he couldn't spar no longer. So he went from a very offensive fighter to, some will say, maybe a defensive fighter, where he's just fighting off the jab and slipping and moving. And he started winning fights more in the latter of his career on points. So again, Carl Froch, I bigged you up in the other segment about you not being an overachiever, but I have to disagree with you on this one. And I personally would rank Joe Calzaghe in 2nd, Andre Ward in 3rd, yourself in 4th, and Mikhail Kessler in 5th. That's just my take on it. But hey, let me know your thoughts if you agree or not. Top Rank headlined their first behind closed doors boxing event this week in Las Vegas MGM Arena. It's the first boxing show to take place since basically this lockdown, in other words. My man, Shakur Stevenson, headlined the event. He obviously got the knockout against Felix Carabello. According to reports, which was surprising, the card averaged about 397,000 viewers with a peak of 609,000. For boxing that's been absent to the public domain for so long, you would have expected a lot more people to tune in. That's my honest opinion. I know for a fact if that was a matchroom show, you would definitely have a lot more people tuning in. So I don't know, maybe it wasn't a good card. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson was headlining it, but I'm not too sure who was on the undercard. But it was surprising to see that not many people tuned in. I myself didn't tune in, which is funny. Obviously, I'm talking on it, but a lot of people didn't tune in, which was funny. So let me know your thoughts on that. That's it for this week's Boxing Weekly Roundup with myself, Big Nige. Stay tuned for more of our weekly editions. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. That's it. Peace.